There are so many reasons why a 25% gas export tax is a terrible idea. I'm working on a longer form video breaking down the facts, figures, and broader implications, which may already be available there on YouTube as a related video link. But for today, let me give you a few quick facts that the pushers of the tax and the media are not telling you. Australia is heavily reliant on our international trading partners. We import 90% of the refined fuel that we use. We send a lot of gas to Singapore and South Korea, and 50% of our total refined petroleum products come from Singapore and South Korea. Singapore alone supplies 55% of our imported petrol and 22% of our jet fuel, keeping in mind the Chinese have already cut off jet fuel exports, and South Korea supplies 30% of our imported diesel, with another 15% coming from Singapore. Now, you might say, well, John, they need our gas, and they do. We export $14.6 billion of gas to them, but we import more from them. We get $20 billion of fuel from them. So I would argue we need them more than they need us. And they can buy their gas from other places, and I'll show you that in a sec. Now, you hear a lot of talk about how Japan gets the gas for free. That's not true. That's a topic for the longer form video. But for today, we export per year $22.1 billion of gas to Japan, but we need to buy a lot of stuff from Japan. Per year, we buy $3 billion worth of heavy machinery from the Japanese to run our mining industry. And in many cases, there aren't alternatives to that. You can't use alternative parts, and there aren't a lot of nations that manufacture this heavy equipment, so it's not easy to change. Further to that, we buy, all those Toyotas and Mazdas and Subarus you see on the road. We buy $12.3 billion a year worth of Toyotas, Mazdas, etc. And we buy a lot of parts. Sometimes the car breaks down, you need replacement parts. If we're going to slap a 25% tax on the Japanese gas, why wouldn't they slap a tax on the Toyotas or all the parts that we need to run those cars? And coming to where else they can get, we get other things from Japan too, $1 billion worth of tires and tubes. Russia has offered to sell LNG, the gas, to Asia at a 40% discount. So if we're going to slap a 25% gas tax on these exports, why wouldn't Singapore just buy it from Russia? And you might say, well, John, there's sanctions on Russia. Does Singapore have to comply with the sanctions? No, Singapore does not have to comply with the sanctions if they want to buy that gas from Russia. And that's why probably the reason our prime minister is in Singapore right now is he's begging for the petrol, because we get half of our petrol from Singapore. And if we slap a tax on that, well, wouldn't they just go and get the gas from Russia? And of course, companies like Woodside are planning to spend $30 billion to expand gas projects. Why would they do that if you're going to slap a 25% gas tax on their revenue and destroy their profit margins? They'll cancel that spend, and our economy will be far less productive.